Let's take a look at this week's internet weather. These are the top 10 most probed ports for the last week. In first place is 23 TCP, that's telnet. It's been there for a while. 443 TCP is SMB. 8545 is Ethereum, which is kind of an interesting one to see near the top. 22 TCP is SSH. 81 TCP is an alternate web port, usually related to IoT vulnerabilities. 53413, we thought it was gone, and it is back. It came up from 64th place to 58th place this week, so we'll be taking a look at that one. 3389 TCP is Remote Desktop Protocol. 80 ICMP is ping. 4043 TCP is SSL, and 80 TCP is plain old HTTP. Taking a look at the most sources probing. 445 is in the top, followed by 23. 8080 TCP is in third place, and we actually have a closer look at that this week because I keep wondering what is on 8080 that's so important. 80 TCP is in fourth. 5900 TCP is up 22 slots. We'll take a look at that. That is VNC. 5555 is Remote Debug Bridge on Android. 80 ICMP again is ping. 81 TCP is alternate web. 22 TCP is SSH, and 53 UDP is DNS, which is up 14 spots. 445 TCP, we've been tracking this one for forever, it feels like, but that was only really about a year and a half ago that we had WannaCry.
Yep. And
since then, it really hasn't, gone too far around. You can see it's cycling daily there, and we're peaking out around 80,000 scan sources per hour. So scan sources on port 5683 UDP, that's CoAP. And this is from an AT&T perspective, and despite what we've heard about the vast volumes of scanning over in China, it seems that we don't have a terrible amount of it here in the US. You can see a number of very concentrated spikes on a couple of dates here that come out around 300 scan sources per hour. That's the most we see, and we can account for those. Those are actually a security company operating out of the US that does regular internet-wide scans.
Okay.
Scan flows on port 53413 UDP, that's the Netis backdoor that we're so familiar with. We've seen it for a while now. There was a significant increase in the last couple of days on this port, peaking out around 180 million scan sources per hour. It's, somebody has rediscovered this and has decided to make it the point of their scanning. This is really a single source in a US cloud provider, so someone is probably looking to build a botnet scanning at this level. So we'll keep an eye on that. It was still a pretty good backdoor back in the day. I think it was single UDP packet with command injection allows you to install stuff on a Netis router.
Right.
Yeah. It was quite a bug.
Interesting that this popped up after so long. I mean, I don't remember how far back we originally talked about this, but it was a while back.
It was.
The original vulnerability against those Netis routers, I'm pretty sure had a patch associated with them. So it'd be interesting to sort of keep a track on where that scanning ends up going.
It could just be somebody looking at something because they weren't aware of it, or maybe there's something else brewing out there. I think that will be revealed.
So we're taking a look at a port that used to be on the top 10 and has since fallen off, port 1433 TCP, which was MSSQL. And back in the beginning of December of last year, we saw a significant increase in the number of sources scanning. And in the last couple of days, it's fallen off to about where it was right before it started scanning. So it looks like there was a single botnet behind all of this. The way that it falls off so rapidly, I have a hard time believing it was anything else but a single coordinated group of scanners. The drop-off took about 3 days to complete, though, which is interesting. So maybe there's some sort of lag in the C2, or maybe these are boxes that, for whatever reason, just took forever to get the commands from the C2. But yeah, whoever was interested seems to no longer be interested. So we're speculating as to why that is. But I think that there was a single botnet that has been retasked to some other scanning operation, which we haven't identified yet. Always taking a look at port 23 TCP is telnet. Scan flows are slowly trending upwards in the last 30 days, but not a huge lot of moving and shaking there. Port 5900 did make it to the top 10 this week in terms of scan sources, and you can see a significant amount of, it's gotten pretty spiky. That looks like that same daily pattern that we've seen before in other places like SMB. So I imagine these are a bunch of Windows machines that are being power cycled daily, wherever they happen to be. And most of the sources are in Australia and India for this one. I'm not sure what the significance of that is, but it is interesting. Port 8080. I said we'd take a closer look at it, and then here we have a 365-day view of it. In the last couple of months, it really hasn't changed terribly much, but I wanted to know, when did we actually start really seeing scanning on this port? Turns out that was in April of 2018, actually more towards May of 2018. And we saw a huge spike in that. And it turns out that this is actually a pretty common bug in a couple of Netgear routers. The Reaper botnet, a Wicked botnet are among the botnets that scan for this vulnerability. So that's my explanation for it, especially given the size of Reaper. I think that's probably what we're seeing here.
Yep.
And that's it for the internet weather.
Thanks, man.